टिपिकल एक पिक्यूलियर कुछ एक आइडिया पिक करूंगा और उसको मैं ट्रांसलेट करूंगा एक फोटोग्राफ.
Picture is very beautiful, but the process, I know there will be multiple steps and multiple angles to this process.
जो भी वेडिंग था लड़की वाले इधर बैठेंगे, लड़के वाले इधर बैठेंगे और बीच में हमने ढोल वाले लगाते हैं कि कोई भी बात कर रहा है अगर तो ढोल बजाना शुरू कर दो. See, I don't consider celebrities as celebrities in my head. They are all artists. और artists का ना they understand the art.
कौन कहता है क्रिएटिव फील्ड में जाने के लिए क्रिएटिव बैकग्राउंड से होना जरूरी है? अगर कुछ जरूरी है तो आपका मोटिव एंड ज़ील टू अचीव योर क्वेस्ट. Hi, I'm Nipun Marya, the CEO of iQOO and your host for today. This is the Quest Talk. यहाँ बातें सिंपल नहीं, epic होती हैं. And to celebrate today's episode, we've called someone who has shot weddings of many celebrity couples like Alia-Ranbir, Kiara-Sid, and many more. He is the founder and director of House on the Clouds. Please welcome Siddharth Sharma. Hi Siddharth, welcome to the Quest Talk.
Hi Nipun, thank you so much for having me here.
It's really a pleasure. आपकी पिक्चर्स इतनी बार देखी हैं, इतना अप्रिशिएट भी किया है, बट टू सिट हियर टॉकिंग टू यू फेस टू फेस इज रियली अ ड्रीम कम ट्रू.
Same here.
So when we approached you for the Quest Talk, I know टीम ने आपको बताया होगा कुछ कि iQOO is trying to do this. What was your first reaction?
Actually, मैंने थोड़ा रिसर्च भी किया because I like the idea, the core idea, because as a podcast which is aimed for new generation and specifically to inspire the new generation, I like the whole idea of why the podcast was started. Usually podcast थोड़ी सी थोड़ा random होती हैं, but having a podcast which is focused on inspiration, I think that's a good idea. I like the idea behind the whole podcast.
Okay, sure. Thank you. And if we go back a little bit into your journey, starting off as I think academics first, engineering, IT job, बहुत सारे लोग जो हमें सुन रहे होंगे, देख रहे होंगे, they will also be relating to this kind of life, and then finally ending up where you have come. I know it was not planned, can't be planned. Just take us through your journey.
Definitely it was not planned. Or I'm an engineer. Or I was working in US for a few years. After my engineering, I went to US, or I think I worked there for close to, overall I have around 8-10 years of experience in IT. Or I think I was not a very, what you call, ambitious kind of a guy. I never aimed for even promotion while I was in IT, but I was very happy what I was doing. Even my job profile थी वो भी काफी मतलब as per my taste थी, but what I really wanted to do, it was more around research. So I was very very happy. और usually आप switch करते हो अपना career when you're not happy. So I was very happy in US. The change actually happened when I came back to India. और जब मैं इंडिया वापस आया तो I was not able to adjust to the Indian way of working IT. तो मुझे वो थोड़ा सा, और प्लस माय प्रोफाइल जो वहाँ पे थी यूएस में, वो मुझे नहीं मिली यहाँ पे. I was doing photography earlier, but not weddings. In fact, I never liked weddings. मुझे पसंद भी नहीं था जाना. और इवन जब मैं छोटा था तो पापा मुझे फोर्स करते थे, पापा मम्मी, कि शादी में जाना है. I used to hate weddings. मैं बोलता था कि मुझे घर छोड़ के जाओ. But Papa used to force, no, you have to come. And I did like weddings as such. I was an extremely introvert kind of a person. Extremely introvert. इतना introvert कि मैं शायद family से भी मैं सिर्फ कुछ ही लोगों से बात करता था. इतना introvert था. Cousin से भी बहुत कम बात करता था. So I was an extremely introvert kind of person. So wedding तो obviously the last place.
So we also have some pictures because we're talking about your initial days. So I think pictures देखते हैं एक बार.
तो एक्चुअली दिस फोटो, सो मुझे लगता था मैं बचपन से थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हूँ. तो इस फोटो में आई पार्टिसिपेटेड इन फ्लावर मेकिंग. हमारे यहाँ ये होता था, यू हैव टू पार्टिसिपेट इन वन क्राफ्ट, एंड दिस वाज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड इन फ्लावर मेकिंग. और माइन वाज द मोस्ट हिडियस. इफ यू सी माइन, तो मैंने क्या किया, सुबह मैंने लकड़ी तोड़ी, सामने एक पेड़ से लकड़ी तोड़ी, उसमें फूल लगा के और मैंने उसमें डाल दिया. एंड एवरीबडी एल्स वाज सो एस्थेटिकली डन, ब्यूटीफुली डन, बट स्टिल आई गॉट द प्राइज एंड दे गिव मी थर्ड प्राइज प्योरली बिकॉज इट वाज डिफरेंट.
अच्छा.
और आई फेल्ट कि कितना इंपॉर्टेंस होता है स्कूल का, कि इट आई थिंक इट वाज अ वैलिडेशन. It was a validation for me कि you did something, and the school, even the teacher who rewarded, she came and she said कि you got this because it's different. It's weird, but it's different.
चलिए, okay, next. Okay.
So these are my initial years of photography. जब मैंने पहली बार कैमरा लिया.
कौन सा साल होगा ये?
This is 2009.
9.
2009 or 2010. I think around same time. This is in US. जब मैंने कैमरा लिया था और मैं फोटोग्राफी कर रहा था, अगेन एज आई सेड, आई वाज नॉट आई हैव नेवर शोन एनी साइन ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी इन माय इनिशियल पीरियड. आई वाज अ वेरी नॉर्मल किड, वेरी वेरी नॉर्मल, कुछ भी ऐसा एक्सेप्शनल नहीं दिखाया मैंने साइंस. और जब मैंने फोटोग्राफी शुरू की थी, मैंने कैमरा लिया था क्योंकि मेरे दोस्त का एक बेटा था, मैंने उसके फोटो लेने के लिए एक DSLR खरीदा था इनिशियली. और जब मैंने स्टार्ट भी किया था, तो मैं थोड़ा मैं बोर. यूएस में क्या होता है कि 5 बजे के बाद अंधेरा हो जाता है एकदम, तो बहुत ही एक सैडनेस से आई थी. तो उस टाइम के लिए मैंने था कि आई नीड टू हैव टेक सम इमेजेस. एंड देन आई डोंट नो हाउ आई जस्ट टुक ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट कि आई पिक अप एक आइडिया, नॉट अ वेरी कॉमन आइडिया, तो थोड़ा सा एक टिपिकल, एक पिक्यूलियर, कुछ एक आइडिया पिक करूंगा और उसको मैं ट्रांसलेट करूंगा एक फोटोग्राफ में. इनिशियली जैसे ये जो राइट इमेज है, दैट वाज कि हाउ हैविंग मल्टीपल चॉइसेस इज अ कर्स, कि इट्स कंफ्यूजिंग. कि जब आपका एक ही चॉइस होती है इट्स इजी, लेकिन जब वही 50 चॉइस हो जाती है कि कितना कॉम्प्लेक्स है. तो अब इस आइडिया को उठा के आपको कन्वर्ट करना इनटू एन इमेज. आई फाउंड इट वेरी सेटिस्फाइंग. और इसमें सोचने में लग जाते थे 10 दिन ऑन द आइडिया कि कैसे ट्रांसलेट करेंगे इनटू अ फोटोग्राफ. So this right one was that. This I shot alone. कैमरा लगा के एक उसमें ट्रिगर से, मेरे एक हाथ में, राइट हाथ में ट्रिगर भी है, वो ट्रिगर से क्लिक करके, और आई यूज्ड टू जंप, फिर ये जंप करना. और यहाँ पे एक्चुअली एक छोटा सा एक स्टूल भी है, वो मैंने फोटोशॉप से हटाया. So I used to do all this. And
बट ये इसमें ऐसे अपसाइड डाउन कैसे हुआ?
हाँ, ये फिर टर्न की मैंने. Actually the photograph is ऐसे, then I turned myself and I actually jumped. Like stool लगा के, then I jumped, and then how this was एक ही दिन में शूट करके बस बना देती. But I felt extremely satisfied कि जब ऐसे बनाओ तो ऐसा लगता था कि ये कोई और नहीं बना पाएगा. It is my photo. एक आइडिया, मेरा आइडिया, मेरी फोटो है. And this मैं कुछ करता नहीं था, मैं बस अपने पास ही रखता था. Yeah, so this actually was probably the hardest image I've ever created.
अच्छा, ever created?
Ever. 6 months I took to make this image. 6 महीने लगे मुझे ये बनाने में. By this time I came back to India. और जब मैं इंडिया आया तो obviously I told you I was going through this phase of irritation. तो मुझे था कि कुछ तो करना है. And तो the same thing कि हर week एक concept लेके I wanted to create into an image. और I wanted to जब वापस आया तो मुझे लगा कि let's do this, क्योंकि कुछ तो just to get myself involved in something I like. So I thought कि I'll do at that time, during this time Sachin Tendulkar retired. And I was very sad because I was very passionate about cricket. तो ये बहुत एक sadness थी. Then we took this shot. इसमें newspaper हमने fly किए. I founded a small club. तो हमने छोटा 5-6 photographers का group एक बनाया था. And then we took this photo. But the effort was only in getting it done, not in making the photo. But it took 6 months. And 6 months of non-stop trying. Like ऐसा नहीं कि छोड़ दिया फिर. Every month 3 or 4 days we used to go try. It was so frustrating. Permissions and one of the उसने बोला कि you have to send it to the Prime Minister. one of the board guy.
Okay.
Very
Just
long.
explain the picture also.
So the photograph was that a guy just read that in the newspaper that Sachin Tendulkar has retired. Like जैसे फिल्म का ना superhero retired, and he gets it कि I will be the next. So it takes his bat and he's going out. I'm going to be the next Sachin Tendulkar. So this was the image, and to add some drama, we made a lot of newspapers, and then he's just. Initially, he was in school uniform. Then the principal said, "Uniform I cannot show." So I removed his uniform now, last minute, and so this was the whole idea. And piche there was supposed to be a stadium.
Okay.
That he's going from a school. There's a class. From class, he's entering a stadium. That was the whole concept. But it was tough. Photoshop wise, I was not able to do. But that was the whole idea. Yeah. So this also was probably one of the most time I've spent on an image. Only on the thought process. So I went to Agra with my
ये उसके बाद थी?
ये इसके बाद थी.
हाँ. Okay.
क्योंकि ना जब once you create one image, you just get motivated. It just becomes the happiness that you get after you finish an image of this sort. Taking an image just with a camera click, you're happy. It's one thing. But spending time in ideating and all this, and उसके बाद आप एक image create करो, that's a very different feeling. It's like making a film. Very similar to making a film. Different process, such a long process, and then you make something and you're happy कि finally हो गया. Because आपकी दिमाग में एक rough एक idea एक image उसको convert करना, to me I thought it's a big task. And this image, I went to Agra with my friend to see Taj Mahal. I went on Friday, so the Taj Mahal was closed.
Okay.
तो उन्होंने बोला कि आप एक काम कीजिए, यहाँ पे फोर्ट है जो, आप वहाँ चले जाइए. And it was already 5:36. And I went with my friend to this fort, and the guide was explaining कि यहाँ पे शाहजहां को कैद किया हुआ था. And there was his daughter placed a mirror in front of him, so he can see the reflection of Taj while lying on the bed. He was very frail. He was old and he was sick. He was not able to get up from the bed. So she placed a mirror so he can see the reflection. And I think he was sick for a few years. And he was explaining this. This is, I was standing in, and I sort of felt, goosebumps when he was explaining, because the time of the day, there was a wind, and there's nobody, in such a big place. And I felt actually thoda sa scared. Let's translate this into image. And let's show a day when that mirror broke. Okay. What happens? Because that mirror, he was used to, he was seeing the Taj, the reflection of the Taj in that mirror. But what happens if that mirror breaks? And that day, like how sad Shahjahan is going to be, and all that. So then I created this image. This is me actually at that time. And all of this is painted, this photo, there are ribs. I wanted to show him how, weak he was and frail he was. So I painted this sort of skeleton ribs as and so even the glass down, they're not like real glass. It's just like made in Photoshop. And in that window, that's Mumtaz. It just was a very rough and vague idea. And but I was extremely, extremely proud of this image at that time, because it was very haunting kind of a image. And I dedicated it to Brooke Shade. I sent it to her, and she replied first time that, oh, this is insane. This has to be in some gallery. And she replied for the first time. So yeah, this was special. I loved his wedding. It was very interesting. Very, very interesting wedding. Still the most interesting wedding I've ever
क्यों?
attended.
ऐसा क्यों?
Because ये जो wedding थी इसमें he was a Christian, the bride was a Hindu, and they didn't tell. So the whole family, all the guests were told that he is also a Hindu.
अच्छा.
There was this, it was like a game कि किसी को पता नहीं चलना चाहिए. उसका नाम, his name was Ronald.
और इसके boy के side के जो
boy was Christians, so उनको पता था.
Okay.
कि उनको बता दिया था कि please say you are also Hindu.
अच्छा. And they agreed?
No, not all. Only some of them agreed. Some of them said वो हम क्यों करेंगे भाई।
हाँ।
और तो फिर हमने बहुत प्लानिंग भी थी, तो हमने क्या किया कि लड़की जो भी वेडिंग था, लड़की वाले इधर बैठेंगे, लड़के वाले इधर बैठेंगे, और बीच में हमने ढोल वाले लगाते कि कोई भी बात कर रहा है अगर तो ढोल बजाना शुरू कर दो। सो इट वाज सो फन एंड इंटरेस्टिंग। और इसका नाम हमने रखा था रोहन। तो शादी के कार्ड में हर जगह रोहन था, और हर साइड कोई को शक था कि मे बी इट्स नॉट, तो दे वर पिकिंग अ फ्यू पीपल कि टेल हाउ डू यू नो देम। So it was a very, like, it felt like this wedding
बट ये
can,
लगता नहीं है कि ऐसे रियल लाइफ में हो सकता है, ऐसा तो सिर्फ
हाँ,
मूवीज में होता है।
movies में होता है, but this was more interesting than a movie. If I translate it into a movie, it will be very interesting because I was there, and at every single point there was a feeling that ये शादी रुक जाएगी,
रुक जाएगी,
कभी भी टूट जाएगी, कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है। Like people were like कुछ भी हो रहा है, तो कहीं पर आवाज आई कोने में, तो लगा कि भाई कुछ हो गया है, किसी को पता लग गया है। So it was such a high anxiety kind of a wedding, but I really enjoyed.
सो मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, आपने ये फर्स्ट किया फ्रेंड की, सेकंड आपने 10,000 रुपीज चार्ज किए और इट टर्न्ड आउट वेरी वेल। उसके बाद
उसके बाद तो इट वाज मैडनेस।
अच्छा।
I think usually people, most of the time people struggle to start, but I went from 0 to 100 like that, because I posted that and I got like, I think 10 inquiries. Like I used to get 1 or 2 inquiries every day. And then it became like I was shooting every weekend. Every Saturday, Sunday, I was shooting a wedding. Every Saturday, Sunday. And it's like so many, like even I think in that phase I shot more weddings what I shoot now. It just picked up, it, so sudden. And then I don't know even what happened in that 2 years. I just went with
this is
what
like
was
15
happening.
to 17, that kind of phase.
It was 14.
14 to
It was actually 2014 actually.
14.
2014 full year. I don't know, maybe I shot 30 weddings. I shot. And it just sort of, happened. And also because of my time in US, and also my aesthetics were a bit Western. My visuals and overall what I liked was a bit Western. And plus thoda sa my Photoshop skills, and so the kind of images I was creating at that time, it felt a bit fresh. It was in 2015 mid where I realized that, okay, this is too much. It has to,
job and
yeah, I was not able to balance now, because I was a lead there, so I felt like, now maybe I'm compromising. There's a compromise happening, because it's not just about shooting on the Saturday, Sunday. You have to edit the images. So after you finish your office, you come back and then you have to sit on the edit, and then again next day you have to sit on the edit, and then you go to shoot. So it was getting a bit out of control. And also in my head I made this calculation that I will only leave when my money that I make from this is 2 times what I'm making currently.
So yeah, pictures which broke Instagram.
Yeah, this is mostly last 2 years. I think this was see, we started in 2015, I think, and honestly from 2014, I would say 2015 till now, I have not thought of anything else.
Except?
In terms of my brain, it only thinks about House on the Clouds.
Okay, House on the Clouds.
Yeah. As a, like if I'm free, मैं ये नहीं सोचता हूँ कि मैं घूमने कहाँ जाऊँगा या कौन सी मूवी देखूँगा. My brain is thinking, what will we do? For 10 years, I've never ever thought of doing anything else or thinking about anything else. When this inquiry came, it was not clear. We were not told that it's going to be an Alia-Ranbir. It was just like, you have to sign an NDA. These are the dates. You just block the dates. That's when it happened. And then we later went and met her to finalize things.
तो क्या प्रोसेस था? Did she share something कि मुझे पिक्चर्स ऐसी चाहिए? This is the zone I want to be in. Yes, sir, these are my do's and don'ts.
No, nothing as such. Nothing as such. I think, see, I'll tell you one thing. All these, see, I don't consider celebrities as celebrities in my head. They are all artists. और artists का ना, they understand the art. So in this case, even in Alia, like they know what you do, they know your job, because they have experience in this film industry, और उनको पता है कि there are a lot of people who do different kind of jobs and they know their job, so let them do what they do. And this I feel is for all these artists, or every artist, not just celebrities, artists as such, any creative person. I feel very proud that we get to shoot these artists, a lot of artists. We have shot a lot of artists from musicians to actors, directors, even ad filmmakers, singers. And why? Because I find them as a different breed of people. They're not normal people. They're not like it.
Why? Why do you say that?
I mean, because when you go there, I always, there is some learning. There's some learning or the other when you shoot a wedding of these artists. Chote, kabhi choti, kabhi badi. Lekin there's always, and plus since they understand, you don't have to. They just follow what you want. जैसे अगर मैं बोलूँ कि मुझे ये लाइट नहीं चलेगी, तो उनको मुझे explain नहीं करना क्यों. They understand कि he's a photographer. He has more knowledge about light. And same in Alia. In Alia's wedding, I said कि this light won't work, and they, okay, remove whatever. And this is more common in when you're shooting in these creative people. Always a learning. Even I'll tell you one incident in Pulkit's wedding. In Pulkit's wedding, we shot the film and we shared the film with them, Kriti, and Kriti said, or as a filmmaker, you try to make a very neat and clean, film, as neat and clean as possible. So Kriti came back and she loved the film and she said, oh, it was super. And she said, it's very clean. When Pulkit was giving his speech, see, at that time, I was hearing a lot of noises. And there was echo in his, because it was in a room. His voice was not this clean. There was an echo, and I was able to hear your photographer's clicks, cut. And I want all these sounds, because that is how I felt when he was giving a speech.
More real.
More real. I want to be present there when that is happening. This is too clean, neat and clean for me. This is not how I felt it. This, and if you see in a normal wedding, it's always the opposite. It has to be neat and clean. This only can come from people from a creative background.
Somebody
creative
who understands
background. Yeah. This is and this is a learning for us. To take them back, because technically you're documenting, and the idea behind a film, when you watch it again, is to we have to transport you back to that day, and that experience. It's not just involves the what is in focus, but what is around. And I think that was a big learning experience for me.
तो इसके पीछे के आप थोड़ा बैक स्टोरी बता सकते हैं ना, हाउ डू यू प्रेप फॉर और द टेक्निकल्स, और बिकॉज बहुत सारे लोग जो देख रहे हैं दे आल्सो मे बी सम ऑफ देम आर एस्पायरिंग टू बी फोटोग्राफर्स इन द फ्यूचर, तो वो समझना चाहेंगे पिक्चर इज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल बट द प्रोसेस, I know there will be multiple steps and multiple angles to this process. So please take us through that also.
I think any event or any project, I think the primary or the first step is to have as much information or knowledge about the space. And this is something we do for each wedding. The idea of light, how much proximity is there, how far can you shoot from. This also affects your lens choices. For example, if it's too big space, you usually get zoom lenses. If it's too tight space, you usually go for slightly wider lenses. So a good, recce, as much information of the space, about the lighting situation, the timing, the schedule. This homework is extremely, extremely important. Be it not just celebrities, any wedding you do, even any fashion projects or any project you do, a good, set of kind of what we call as a report of the conditions and the space information. Everything has to be, known. If you have that, I feel you are, while personally for me, if I've seen the space and then I go to actual shoot, I have much more confidence in me. Okay, I know this space. Because suddenly when you go and you're not seen the space, it will take you some time. So I think this is important. A good homework is very important.
Okay. And जैसे आप लाइटिंग की बात करते हैं, तो can you share some instance जहाँ पे when you landed or the situation was very challenging and how did you overcome it?
I think in Alia's wedding itself, I won't say challenging, but we were very lucky that we were doing both photography and film because it was a very tight space and it was indoors. It was inside an apartment, so the lighting was not obviously very favorable. And what happens is when you're shooting in that space, you have to use a lot of flashes. The photographer has to use a lot of flashes and affects the video
Correct.
because that it shows up in the video. And we were lucky that we were doing both. And so we were able to control. What happens is, for example, if it is an emotional moment and then there's a tears coming or a very emotional moment and then you see the flash, it just breaks the moment visually in terms of when you see the film, that the moment somebody is about to cry and then there's disco lights going on. So it just breaks. And we were able to, since we were doing both, we were able to coordinate between both, that okay, I'll shoot for 10 seconds and then you will shoot, or don't shoot flash. So this coordination happened. But this is always a tricky. Light is always obviously it's all about light. It's always tricky, and getting control of the light, in some situation you can, and some situation it's outside your control. But in Alia's wedding, I think that technically it was still, I would say, a tough wedding because of the the space.
So say somebody who's a 19-20-year-old, he's listening to you, looks up to you, आपका काम उसको बहुत पसंद आता है. Finally, he idolizes you. Maybe he wants to be where you are today. And you also got inspiration from one of the photographers, I think
Brooke Shaden.
So now he wants to maybe know something from you. कि अच्छा मुझे अगर अपनी journey में आगे बढ़ना है, तो what are the steps you suggest I should undertake? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Can you share some information on that?
I think if you are starting, you have to dedicate first few years to learning. There is no substitute for that. I don't think you should jump the gun and seek for money or fame too early in your career. The first few years should be dedicated to learn the basics. Spend some time in building a foundation. Once you are set, once you know how it's done, once you know how things work around you also, not just the craft, you need to see the industry as well. Whatever industry you get into, photography or whatever, have a decent understanding, learn some discipline, learn to have a discipline in you. And this is all a part of the base, some kind of professionalism, ethics, discipline, and the craft as such, the technical aspect of it. Once you're done that, I think then it's purely your art. But the art, and then then it's your passion. How much of madness in you? How much of desperation is there to reach where you want to reach? A lot of it is then a lot of comes into picture. But initial phases has to be there. You should be dedicating the first few years to just the learning part.
So again, continuing photography, I want to learn photography. आपने तो you just learnt it with your own passion, and self-learning is the route you adopted. Do you suggest that, or do you suggest maybe I should join a photography school, learn it there? And you also didn't start off as a wedding photographer, right? You were in some other field totally, and then it just happened because of the creativity there.
See, I've never gone to a school, a photography school, so I'm not too sure what is taught there. So whether I will recommend or not recommend, I don't know.
But do you meet some graduates from photography school now?
Very rare.
Still rare.
Extremely, extremely rare. And also, it's a good way or bad way. I know a couple of people who went to a school, and I think they get stuck to a certain process.
Okay.
That this is how it should be done. In school, not always you learn good things at school. Sometimes the school teaches you to stick to a certain way of doing things, and it might or might not work.
So these are some of the questions I have. Hamari community bhi hai, iQOO community, young boys and girls.
Okay.
They also wanted to ask a few questions from you. So maybe I'll just ask
Sure.
the first one. This is from Yasir.
Okay.
He's asked, okay, if someone wants to join HOTC and work with you, what's the process to get in?
The process is pretty straightforward. We have a website, we have an application form. You go there and apply.
Okay.
But our hiring is not like it's not like such a very solid process because we are still a small team. We are always open to finding new talent, very creative people, but it's not like we always have openings. So sometimes when we feel like okay, we need somebody fresh, then only we jump into the applications, we scan the applications, and then we get somebody. But it's not like on a daily basis we'll look through the applications because we don't want to hire. But the form is always active. So if you want to join, you go there, fill in this application, and write as much as information, give as much information as possible. A lot of times people apply and say, let in the bio or in the description they say hi.
Achha.
That's it. Hi. Or sometimes they write, hi, I want to join. So I think we don't even go to the portfolio because it's extremely important. You might be talented, you might be very your portfolio might be groundbreaking. Doesn't matter if you're not able to sort of tell us. For me personally, I don't hire based on talent. My hiring is purely based on how good a person is.
Attitude
Mostly. It's if I like the person is good, आधा काम वही हो गया.
Okay. Gokul has asked, as a photographer, how do you manage to capture those candid, emotional moments in weddings without disrupting the natural flow of the event?
See, a lot of it is anticipation, and I think it's a very kind of it's a talent you develop over a period of time, and it's extremely important. Anticipation means, for example, if you are there, you see there's a bride standing or bride getting ready, and down the hall you see a dad coming. So you should have that anticipation that dad will come, she will turn around, and she will see it. There will be reaction. So you have to anticipate that. So your eyes, your ears, you should always, your brain should be open all the time. This is the tough thing about a wedding. You cannot relax like that. कि आपके पास कैमरा है, ये ब्राइड है, वहाँ पे मॉम आ रही है and you don't care. ऐसा नहीं है. Every movement around can lead to something.
For those starting in wedding photography and filmmaking, how do you recommend developing a unique style while still meeting client expectations?
I think you should choose your inspiration wisely. If you want to develop unique style, I think the people you surround yourself with, your taste, the kind of music you listen to, all this, adds to your, aesthetics. The kind of movies you watch, the kind of films you watch, the kinds of friends you have, the kind of space around you, a lot of things add to this. So when you have to develop a unique perspective, I think your inspirations or people you look up to, you should choose them very wisely and surround yourself or drown yourself in their work.
Okay, rapid fire.
Yes.
Now, first question, and that's we begin. What are you questing for now?
As of now, the quest is to grow the brand. We are in a very interesting phase of our career, and we want to diversify a bit, enter into more creative fields within this domain. And yes, as a brand, we want to grow. We want to establish some processes, expand. Yeah, that's the quest as of now.
Okay. What would you describe as your style and aesthetics in one word?
Timeless.
Timeless. Okay. Most photogenic wedding location you've shot at?
Photogenic, I would say Lake Como. It's a very beautiful space in Italy. Udaipur if it's in India, but Lake Como is very, very beautiful.
The most extravagant wedding request you've ever received?
Few years back, I got a request to spend 1 month with a family in their home before the wedding. They wanted me to document their shopping, everything that happens in their house for a month, and spend time with them for 1 month. That was, and then the wedding itself was 18 days, 18 or 16 days of wedding, plus 1 month with them with the preparation.
You said no?
Yeah. Because honestly, giving these many dates, it's not possible. Plus, I was pretty sure the budgets wouldn't have worked. Pretty sure.
One wedding photography trend that needs to die.
In some parts of the country, there is a trend to have multiple photographers at a same wedding to do the same job. I think this has to die very, very soon. Sometimes you go to a wedding and you end up seeing 50 photographers. I've done weddings where there are 60, 70 photographers only. And once you have that, because a lot of people think that quantity equates to quality. It doesn't work like that. So I think only one team should be hired to do one job. This trend is in certain parts of the country, not everywhere, but in certain parts, certain segment of the society, there is a trend of having a lot of teams doing the same thing. Should die.
3 mandatory techniques or concepts to take your photography to next level.
One will be hard work. There's no substitute for it. Second, I feel again a very I would recommend not many people do this, but self-appraisal. A lot of people make mistakes in doing a good self-appraisal, understanding where you are right now. You should not be overconfident or underconfident. You should understand the kind of work you do, where you stand. So this self-appraisal has to be done very frequently, very often. This will help you in your growth, in your pricing, in everything. So this self-appraisal is important. I think the third is, in the end, this is a service industry. So the clients are the gods. So this realization, because see, it's a very weird kind of any creative industry is very, very weird, because there's always a fight between creative goals and the client's expectations. There's always a big fight. And now who to satisfy? You as a creative, or a client who's the end receiver? It's his wedding. So I think that a good balancing act. If you're doing this as a business, the client's expectations should be met, and then your creative goals should be.
So first client,
first thing you should be doing is the client's expectations, and then the next goal. Whether you reach it or not, it doesn't matter. But then should be your creative satisfaction. A lot of people skip that client expectation part and straight away jump to this is what I want to do. But you are shooting somebody's wedding, the most important day of somebody's life. So you should keep yourself thoda sa out. You should think from their point of view. Then you bring yourself.
Okay. What is your pre-shoot ritual?
Checking batteries and cards. And this has happened. I still remember one of the events I went to, and I opened the camera and there was no card. And the event was starting in like 10 minutes.
The most important thing to have in mind while conceptualizing or directing brand films. Brand you've done?
Yeah, we have done few. We have done few, mostly around fashion. Now actually we have shot for a lot of brands. Abujani, Torani, lot of brands. I would say in conceptualizing, what happens is mostly it's the concept is by the brand itself or the designer itself, because it's his thing. He has the best understanding of what the clothes, because they have made the clothes, so they have a better understanding of where they want to place. But I think one thing that you need to keep is calm. A lot of times, a lot of people are involved in a brand, and a lot of people will be giving their inputs. You'll be surrounded by people who will be telling you how to do your job, especially in a brand shoot. I think having calm, listening to everybody and doing your own thing, that I think is I'm still learning. I still get irritated and frustrated, but I think now I'm learning to keep your calm, and again trying to find a balance between what they want and what you want.
Coming from the brand, I can relate to this.
Yeah, because as a brand you have certain expectations from this, and as a creative I have certain kind of ideas. So वो बीच में आना, I think keeping calm because when you're shooting, no, it gets tough.
Okay, on that note, we have this slate for you.
Oh, yeah.
Where maybe whatever is your quest, if you would like to write for us and share it with everyone.
Okay.
Making a movie.
Making a movie. This has been
movie means like a feature.
Feature.
I
as a kid also, I had this, I used to spend a lot of time with myself alone, dreaming about things. And some of the movies which, I have seen. And I also, in the current scenario also, I feel it's a good time because I find a gap currently. And but I at least once I want to give it a shot. If it fails, whatever. But I would still give it a shot once.
Okay. Thank you so much, Siddharth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here.
No, we also have a small a gift for you. Your quest is inspiring millions of youngsters. Thank you and keep questing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.